Hello everyone! Last year we made a top 10 video talking about the orchids we have, either partially or fully, just because of their foliage, whether it's their shape or color. Well, we said at the time that there were more orchids in our collection that could have made that list, so we decided to make another video.
Before we start, we want to remind you to subscribe to our channel if you haven't already. It's the best way to not miss our videos. And if you want to support the channel further, we now also have a super thanks option on the channel.
So the first orchid we want to show you is the Leptotes unicolor. And we almost also included its more famous relative, the Leptotes bicolor. It also has a very interesting growth pattern, with thin, clumping, hanging pseudobulbs. But for this video, we chose the unicolor, probably because it's similar to the bicolor, but smaller and cuter, with fatter little pseudobulbs. It's one of the few orchids we keep mounted, and it looks really cute in a small little spiky clump. It is starting to grow out of its mount, so we're going to need to change it soon. Something that probably also helps it to be an orchid we grow for the foliage is the fact that it only flowered for us once, even though we've had it for over 4 years. So we have no choice but to grow it for the leaves.
This one is a foliage classic. And it's not like the flowers aren't amazing as well. This orchid is desirable in every collection for many reasons. That's actually another video we should make, about orchids that are almost mandatory in every collection. But the delenati not only has amazing flowers, it has some of the prettiest leaves I've ever seen. And not just as far as orchids are concerned, but as decorative houseplants as well, since we also have some of those. The mottling on these leaves is almost checkerboard pattern, not just spotty like other mottled leaf orchids. Something we were able to capture well on our macro and microscope video. We should make another one of those as well. I also love the tones of green the leaves have. And if you catch the underside of them, you have the most beautiful burgundy color. So even though it also has one of my favorite Paphiopedilum flowers, I can confidently say we grow this for the foliage, since it only flowers once a year, but I stare at it all year round.
Another orchid collection classic, we've had this one for years without being able to flower it. And even now, we've only been able to get a few flowers out of it. So if you have any tips on how to get it to flower better, we're all ears. But this is to say we've had plenty of time to appreciate this orchid's leaves, and they are very much appreciable. Because not only do they have incredibly long, beautiful grassy leaves, the perfectly oval pseudobulbs that look like Easter candy are absolutely adorable. We've seen this plant look stretched out and a bit unruly in other people's collections, but either because we propagate the growths that get too tall, or because we have a more compact variety, ours still looks very attractive as just a houseplant. So maybe that's why we've never bothered to research properly how to flower it better.
This Dendrobium supposedly gets its name from how distinctive its pseudobulbs look. It's called Dendrobium senile, or old man orchid, because of the white hairs in the pseudobulbs. We got a bit ripped off with this one. It was sold as an adult plant, and it was a bunch of baby propagations on a mount. And now, years and years later, only 2 survived. But now it's much easier to see the really cute feature that gave it its name. Even though the plant is tiny, you still feel like running your fingers in the fuzzy pseudobulbs. The flowers are cute, but this year that it flowered for the first time for us, we can confidently say we are much more excited by the cute, plump, and adorably hairy pseudobulbs.
This one is cheating just a little bit. It's not on this list exactly for its leaves, even though the plant itself looks really cute, like a lot of Angraecum orchids, but tiny. Its flowers are also very attractive, beautiful, star-shaped with a long spur, and quite big for the size of the plant. So why is this orchid on the list? The roots, of all things. One of the main reasons I fell in love with this orchid and really wanted one was when I figured out it has bumpy textured roots. Now, I know a few Angraecoids have this feature, but this was the first one I saw, and I think the one where this is most noticeable, at least that I've seen. Maybe you think I'm weird, but I really like this aspect of this orchid, and it makes me smile every time I see it.
We waited to put this one on the first video, because in all honesty, it hasn't been looking its best since we got it. It's still recovering from being transported across the world and carried from country to country, which is one of the disadvantages of buying at orchid shows. The plants can take years to recover. But I think you can tell the leaves are supposed to have a beautiful pattern, with really distinctive spots. I suspect these are more visible with highlight, because it's not as visible in some pictures we found online. I also really like the shape of the plant. It's made of really thick oblong leaves. I've seen these leaf shape being called mule ear, and that's really accurate. We still haven't flowered it yet, and by the pictures the flowers seem to be decently pretty, but we're more excited to get the plant looking healthy and pretty again. And that shows that we care more about the leaves with this one.
This Oncidium relative is pretty common, and I'd have to wager most people keep it for how grassy it looks. Because its flowers are kinda cute, in the way they look just like a typical Oncidium, but impossibly tiny. But I don't think most people would appreciate that, especially because you have to get really up close to see them. but the leaves are so thin and light that it makes a really cute little grassy pot when the plant gets full. Ours suffered a lot with the heat last year, so it has looked a lot better. But it's another one I always touch with my fingers when I go by the shelf, like I'm petting a cat.
This is the only Psychopsis in our collection right now, but we wouldn't mind having more. And it's not for the flowers, because the flowers aren't very different from species to species. Also, this plant is always in flower. I mean really, always. So unfortunately, you kinda stop appreciating it as much when you see it every single day. I still really like the leaves though, and I find it weird that more people don't talk more about the pretty modeling these orchids can have. It's more red and orange than other modeled orchids we have, and I find it really nice. Our plant doesn't look great right now, because it has a bunch of the dried up pseudobulbs still hanging on. But I think you get the idea. The pseudobulbs themselves are also really cute, because they're perfectly round and flat.
This orchid is really new in our collection. I just got it for my birthday. And we were already going to the checkout register when I remembered to research what the flowers even look like. They seem cute, but I mostly care about the long, flat, zigzaggy leaves, stems, pseudobulbs. Either way, the plant is really nice. I also like how fleshy and substantial it feels. I thought it would be really hard to keep the leaves upright after repotting, and that maybe I would have to mount it, but it still looks great. A lot of Lockhartias look like this, and this is our first one. So here's hoping we manage to keep it alive. Finally, we had to show you another Phalaenopsis, because we all know a lot of them have very pretty leaves. This one gets the pattern on the leaves from the stuartiana parent. And we got lucky because even though it's a hybrid, it got plenty of modeling, and it's a really pretty pattern. The leaves are also really round and full, so this plant pretty much always looks nice, flowers or no flowers. And we always have it in the forefront of the shelves, so we can see it every day. Even though we already have too many Phalaenopsis, I'm always tempted to get more of the species that have mottled leaves. Or at least they're hybrids like this one.
And that was our top 10, the sequel. So in reality at this point it's a top 20. Don't forget to check out the first top 10 video as well if you haven't already. We hope you enjoyed the video and that we were good little enablers into filling up your wish lists. Because let's face it, most of the year these plants aren't giving us flowers. So we might as well have something nice to look at. Don't forget to like this video, check out the super thanks option and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. And we'll see you again next week.
Goodbye.